There are simple phrases a man can say that hold more power than any threat or angry argument. These phrases strike at the core of a woman's emotional and survival strategy. They are words every woman fears hearing because they signal one thing: the safety net is gone. The man has chosen to completely pull back his energy, resources, and commitment. This disengagement is the ultimate psychological weapon because it targets her core needs for stability and external validation. The fear doesn't come from violence or shouting, it comes from calm, rational withdrawal. This is the opposite of the angry fight she is used to. When a man gets angry, he is still engaged. He still cares enough to fight for the relationship. When he says these specific words, he signals that he has stopped caring enough to argue. He has made a choice to protect himself, and that choice leaves her completely exposed to the consequences of her own behavior. The words are usually simple statements that mean, "I am no longer responsible for your happiness or your problems." The words cut deep because they force her to face the reality of her own self-sufficiency. If she relies on his provision, his competence, or his emotional investment to manage her life, these phrases instantly show her that her foundation is crumbling. The fear is the sudden, cold realization of total personal accountability. These phrases break the unspoken contract that she always held power because she had access to his emotional energy and resources. When he calmly says, "I'm done," she realizes her manipulation tools no longer work. The currency she uses, drama, emotional swings, and conflict, is suddenly worthless. The most feared phrases are those that completely end her ability to control the relationship's direction and the man's emotional response. The words she dreads the most are phrases like, "I don't care," "that is your problem," or "I wish you well." "I don't care" is terrifying because it removes her ability to get an emotional reaction. Her drama or tears, which she uses to force engagement, suddenly hit a brick wall. Her power over his emotions is gone. "That is your problem" is terrifying because it removes his responsibility for her logistics and emotional state. Her expectation that he will solve her self-created messes or comfort her emotional stress is instantly revoked. "I wish you well" is terrifying because it signals the final definitive end. It means he has moved on and holds no resentment, which means there is no remaining emotional link she can exploit to pull him back. This calm disengagement reveals a man who has achieved emotional sovereignty. He has moved beyond the point where her actions or emotional state can hurt him or control his behavior. This new state of self-control is what every woman secretly fears because it means she has lost her greatest tool: the ability to make him suffer for her benefit. We are analyzing the silent power dynamics that truly define relationship control. If you want to understand these core psychological levers and protect your own emotional energy, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Join the Psyche Lens community for more intense, unfiltered truths about how power operates between men and women. The fear is not just emotional, it is deeply rooted in the loss of relational utility. For many women, the man is the stabilizing force, the financial safety net, the problem solver, the emotional regulator. When he speaks these words of disengagement, he is signaling that he is withdrawing his competence. This forces her to confront the reality that she must now source her own security, her own maintenance, and her own emotional regulation. Historically, women accepted the terms of commitment in exchange for that stability. Today, many women expect the stability without the commitment, and they use emotional control to enforce the transaction. When the man says, "I'm done being your resource," the transactional model collapses. The fear is the sudden, real, and immediate loss of economic and logistical security, exposing a lack of self-sufficiency. This quiet, powerful disengagement is also a final act of accountability enforcement. If a woman has used disrespect, manipulation, or constant conflict to manage the relationship, the man's final words signal that her behavior has resulted in the ultimate consequence: total loss of his presence. She cannot spin this into his fault or a flaw in his character. His calm withdrawal is the objective result of her own actions. He has chosen himself, and she is left with the direct, unedited consequences of her choices. This is the power of the man saying, "I am choosing peace over perpetual conflict." It is a move that validates his own self-worth and immediately devalues her attempts at emotional escalation. The reason these simple phrases carry such a heavy threat is that they point to the ultimate, unavoidable truth. She has to manage her own life now. The words are a cruel but necessary lesson in total self-sufficiency. Every woman fears hearing them because they mean the responsibility for her happiness, her security, and her future has been returned entirely to her hands. The core fear is the loss of unconditional safety. She learned to rely on the male instinct to protect and provide, even when she misbehaved. These words signal that this instinct has been deactivated. The man has switched off his emotional commitment and chosen self-preservation. This withdrawal shatters the illusion that her emotional state could indefinitely dictate his actions or secure his resources. The final lasting fear is that the man who walks away will be better off. The woman fears that his new life, free of her chaos and constant demands, will be peaceful, successful, and emotionally free. This proves to her that her control mechanism was not only destructive to the relationship, but ultimately self-sabotaging to her own future. The words she fears are the ultimate acknowledgement of her powerlessness over his decision. They are the final statement that the game is over, and the only path forward for her is difficult, unassisted, and total self-reliance.